Welcome back to Archer's World of Literature, guys. Today we're going to be doing the November book haul. This one's going to be a little bit smaller than the previous two, but I've still got some pretty good books on this list, so strap yourselves in and we're going to go through them one by one. So we're going to start off with a gift that I received from a family friend. This was just a chance thing. They were just really nice and thought that I would like this, so they gave it to me. So I do only have one gift on this list, but I wanted to include it to show me my appreciation for this person. As a family friend of my grandma's, they gave me one of their older copies of Homer's The Odyssey, and this is a super cool copy. I'm not entirely sure when this one was printed. It's looking like, I think this is from 1956. I think it looks like it was from a book exchange from back in the day, and this is just a really cool copy. Something about like old secondhand copies of classics is just super, super cool. So thank you very much to the person that thought of me when they saw this and wanted to give it to me from their own collection, so thank you. So we're going to start off my own purchases with, as we always like to do here, the classics and the modern classics. So this month I actually discovered, I sort of knew about these things, but I actually discovered how great they are and how easy they are to carry around, and that these penguin little black classics are actually a really great way to get yourself into an author, or just to bring yourself back to an author that you really like in just some short stories or a little collection. So I actually got Fyodor Dostoevsky's White Nights, as you guys may know, one of my favorite authors. And I'd heard quite a lot about this short story here, and it was brilliant. And this actually included another shorter story called Bobok, and they were both really great. They've got Dostoevsky's trademark characters and just trademark incredible language and sort of tampering between life and death, and some really, really great humoric discussion between there. I always use that word humoric. For a person that likes literature, I'm not actually sure if it's a word, but we'll just go with it. Humoric, not sure. But that was really, really fun. And then I also picked up Emily Bronte's The Night is Darkening Round Me. This is like a collection of her Bronte's most passionate, powerful poems on death, nature's beauty, and the passage of time. Now, I'm about halfway through reading some of these poems, and she's just like, Wuthering Heights is great. I really liked Wuthering Heights. But just from reading some of her poetry hits me personally really, really hard. And she's just an incredible writer. Like, she just writes about some really bleak things, but some really realistic views on life that you might not expect someone to be able to publish from back when she was writing. And that sort of explains why her and her sisters actually sometimes wrote under a pseudonym, a different author name, to get themselves published, because, you know, a lot of times back in the day, women weren't allowed to publish stuff as honest and as hard as this stuff. So she is a real legend of poetry, in my opinion. So that is The Night is Darkening Around Me. Now, next up we got Patrick Süskind. Not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. We have Perfume, the Story of a Murderer. Now, I actually got recommended to this by a colleague at work, and I went and picked it up because the story sounded really interesting, and I found out that it was in this Modern Classics edition, which, as you guys know, I like to collect. And then actually my friend Jaden the Street Poet, he actually told me that this was one of Kurt Cobain's favorite books, and he read it over and over and over again. A lot of his music was influenced by this book. And I'm a huge fan of Nirvana, huge fan of Kurt Cobain, and so that just makes me want to read it even more. Haven't got to it yet. Not sure when I will. And then he actually sent me an interview, one of Kurt Cobain's last interviews, where he talked very greatly about this book. So I really, really want to push this up the TBR, I think, because I really want to see what influenced Kurt Cobain's reading. So that is Perfume. Next up, as you guys are aware, I just finished reading Ulysses, and that was a big challenge, but so worth it. Has become one of my favorite books of all time. The review for that, I'm actually going to be doing a collaboration review with a special guest, and so that review will be with Isla from Isla Reads on Instagram. So we're just trying to align our schedules with that one, so keep an eye for that. But when I was reading that, I actually read it alongside this companion book, which is Ulysses Unbound by Terence Killeen. And so what I did was I actually read an episode at a time of Ulysses, and every time I finished an episode in Ulysses, I read the corresponding essays and the corresponding section of that episode by Terence Killeen in this companion book. And that really, really helped me to pick up on some of the things that I missed, because Ulysses is a book you're never going to fully understand. But it also reaffirmed with me that I was picking up on some things. So what he was talking about in this companion book, it made me go, oh, I am picking up on that. That's great. And also learn a few new things along the way. So I would recommend reading this book alongside Ulysses if you're going to do it. It makes it a much more enjoyable read. Sort of breaks up the pacing of Ulysses, because it is a book that you sort of need a pace. So that was really, really helpful. And I actually purchased this one after finishing Ulysses, because this is sort of one that I felt that I would need to have read the book first before delving into some essays and scholarly writing about Ulysses. But this is the book about everything. So it is 18 artists, writers, and thinkers on James Joyce's Ulysses. And so basically, it's a bunch of different essays and writings from different Joycean scholars, and they're writing their own opinions and their own essays on the different episodes of Ulysses. So I think we have, I've forgotten exactly how many there are in Ulysses. I think there's either 16 or 18 episodes in Ulysses. So in here, we're going to have 16 or 18 essays on each of the episodes, focusing on different things like economics, politics, race, geography, mythology, all those things. So because Ulysses delves into all of those. And so we're going to see all of these different writers' opinions on that. So this is going to be a lot of fun, I believe. As much as you can say reading essays for fun is fun, but Ulysses is one of those books that I feel like you can draw from so many other people's interpretations of it to make it a more enjoyable read, because it's a book that I've been told stays with you for life. It never leaves you. So there's always going to be things to learn. So I'm always really interested to learn other people's scholarly opinions on each episode. And also, this cover is so cool. We've got Leopold Bloom's glasses with just sort of the map of Dublin in the background, and the green really sort of reflects Ireland and Dublin. I really like that cover. So I think I'm just going to slowly start getting through that essay by essay, just as a little bit of palate cleansers in between reads, my fiction reads. So yeah, that's the book about everything. So I'm going to move into the fantasy books that I picked up this month. They're all by one author. Take a guess who that might be from my recent review. But I actually picked up the entire Farseer trilogy by Queen Robin Hobb. So that is Assassin's Apprentice, Royal Assassin, and Assassin's Quest. Just finished Assassin's Apprentice. Check out the review on my channel. It's my most recent video before this one. I had a great time. Brilliant writer. Cannot wait to keep going into the realm of the Elderling. So check out that video if you have not already. Then I actually picked up her second trilogy in the realm of the Elderlings, and I'm going to struggle to hold this all in one hand. But we have the Live Ship Traders, and they're all some chunky boys. I've heard Mike's book reviews going crazy about these books, so that really inspired me to pick them up and to keep going with the realm of the Elderlings and to start it, to be honest. So that is Ship of Magic, The Mad Ship, and Ship of Destiny. And these covers, I'm telling you, these Harper Voyager covers, they don't look as good on camera, but like they're all this parchment feel. They've got these gold indents and these flags and these blood on it, and it's just, they're amazing. So they were my fantasy pickups for the month. Now, next up on this book haul, I have some general fiction and some general literary fiction. So I actually picked up a book from one of my favorite authors of all time, Haruki Murakami, What I Talk About When I Talk About Running. I do always get that title confused because it's a little bit of a tongue twister there, What I Talk About When I Talk About Running. But this is a biography, I believe, of Haruki Murakami and how he came to open his jazz bar, and how he was in New York and how he started writing his books and becoming the successful author that he is today. I don't actually usually like reading biographies. Nonfiction is something that I find really hard to pick up and go through all at once because I'm so busy enjoying fiction. That's the struggle of liking so many fictionary works. But when it comes to like authors that I really like, or musicians that I really like, or people I really admire, I find biographies a really, really great thing to be able to understand that person more, and therefore understand and appreciate their works and their influences more. So it's only a short one, but I'm going to get to that some point soon. Like Dostoevsky, like I said before, he is one of my favorite authors of all time. So looking forward to getting into that. Then I actually did an online order with a few books, and one of the ones that came in is the notorious Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace. I have heard many things about this book. It's a big boy. Apparently it's one of the hardest books, literary fiction books to read of all time. So there's about 100 to 200 pages of footnotes, there's acronyms, there's alliteration, there's just so many things apparently in this book. Apparently a lot of it is stream of consciousness, which is actually quite similar to, which is what Ulysses is sort of infamous for. It is a little bit intimidating. I feel like the story, from what I've heard, might be a little bit easier to grapple with than Ulysses, but it is a lot of stream of consciousness, and it is quite big, and there is like this going back and forth from the story to the footnotes, which you usually see in non-fiction books. So I'm really interested to see how that correlates with a piece of literary fiction. I have no idea when I'm going to get to this. I got it because the story is in like this residential house of recovering addicts and stuff like that, and goes through like loss and friendship and all that. And I really liked the idea of the story. And I always like a bit of a challenge, it's a bit of a joke, but I did say to some friends of mine that after reading Ulysses, I feel like I can read anything. Not actually, that is a joke, but Ulysses, when you do finish that and you come to terms with a book where you don't have to understand absolutely everything and you can still enjoy the ride, I feel like that does unlock a little bit of a superpower in you. So no idea when I'm going to get to it, but I wanted to get that in the collection because I will one day get to it. Now, in that same online order, I actually picked up, because they didn't have these in the bookstore, you could only get them online, these specific editions that I really liked. I got a bunch of Irvine Welsh books, specifically all of the books in the Trainspotting series, and I just love these covers, these spines. The spines in particular I really liked, and I was like, I have to get these editions, and the bookstores didn't have them, so I had to order them from Booktopia. So we have Trainspotting, which is actually my current read at the moment. I was going to just start reading it like a normal book. I was going to pick it up and read it. But then my friend Jaden, again, he said, because he loves this book, he loves Irvine Welsh, he said, you should read it alongside with the audiobook playing in the background. Now, I'm not an audiobook guy personally. I've got no problem with it, but that's just not how I like to read. And I was like, I'm not really an audiobook guy, Jaden, I won't do it. I'll see how I go. But then I started reading it, and because, like I said in my previous video when I was talking about this, I believe, it's actually written as if it's all in a Scottish accent. So I actually listened to Jaden, and I popped on the audiobook, and that's made it a lot more easier to read and to interpret the language, and it's actually made it a lot more fun. It's made it feel a lot more authentic, hearing it from a Scottish audiobook narrator, and he also told me that the narrator is actually a close friend with Irvine Welsh, and they've got great chemistry, and he does all of Irvine Welsh's books, so I'm probably going to be sticking with him for all of them. And then these are out of order, I believe. I'm not entirely familiar with the order of the series. I think this is book 2, this is Porno, and then there is Skag Boys, which I think was released next, I could be wrong, and Skag Boys I think is a prequel to Trainspotting. And then he actually released chronologically the 3rd book, but he released this the latest. So if that makes any sense, this is Dead Man's Trousers. So I think that these are the 4 main books in the Trainspotting series. They just follow a bunch of crazy friends who are most of them are like heroin addicts, and they're just getting into bar fights, and it's a pretty crazy ride, but it's been a lot of fun so far. I'm about a quarter of the way through Trainspotting, and I'm enjoying the ride. And then actually another Irvine Welsh book that I did pick up at the bookstore because they had the spines that I liked, but they only had it for this newer book, which is not related to Trainspotting, and that is Crime. So it's got that super cool thing. It's got this alligator on the front, this crocodile. The tail actually like creeps through onto the spine, which I find really, really cool. Don't really know much about this book. I know it's about like a detective and stuff, so it's sort of, it's called crime, so I think it's a crime book. But yeah, I'm going to try and smash out Trainspotting first, and then when I get a craving to go back to Irvine Welsh, maybe in a year or two, I'll pick up Crime. So to wrap up this book haul, I'm going to go into the manga, so save the manga for the end. Funny story about this. I have Naruto 11, 12, 13, and 15. There's a funny story about this. I actually got these ordered in because you can't really find these in print. They don't sell them in bookstores because they're slowly sort of starting to reprint editions of old manga because they all sold out apparently during lockdowns because manga was getting really, really popular. And so I actually had these on special order, and I ordered them from my local bookstore in, I want to say, December of 2021. And they said they'll probably be in about February or March. And I never got a call. I never got a notification, anything like that. And I went in one day, and I was again, I'm bringing him up, but my friend Jaden actually works at this bookstore, and he was like, "Oh yeah, I saw some books with your name on it out the back." And I was like, "Hang on, no way, it's not Naruto, is it?" And I was like, I think it might have been." And he went out and he pulled all of these out for me, and I said I didn't get a message, and he told me that I did. And what had happened was I actually changed my mobile number, and so they would have been trying to contact my old number that was disconnected. So these were just, a casual 7 months late for me. They weren't late from the bookstore, but I picked these up 7 months later than I should have been, which was a nice surprise to be able to get these though. I'm still missing. I'm missing 10 and I'm missing 14. I'm just slowly starting to recollect them all because these individual editions of Naruto are amazing, and it's one of my favorite manga of all time. I'm planning on possibly doing a reread on this channel and a review of each volume. I don't know when I'm going to do that because currently Berserk is my manga priority, and there are 72 volumes of Naruto, so we'll see how that goes. Thank you so much for watching. It's been really fun. I really enjoy doing the book hauls, talking about what I've got during the month, and sort of aligning them with a loose schedule of when I'm actually planning on reading them. Because the book collector dilemma is real. Buying books that you don't have time to read is real. So yeah, let me know what you copped during the month of November. Let me know what some of your favorite purchases were, or gifts, anything like that. Let me know what you're reading at the moment. I love this community that I'm slowly starting to build, and I love talking with people in the comments. So I will see you there. And as I always like to say, thank you so much for watching. Keep reading, and peace out.